Hello everyone, I am the Crimson Cadaverous wishing you a very happy Gemini full moon, which peaks on December 18th at 10:40 p.m. Central Time. And there's a lot of different astrological energies attached to this full moon that we're going to talk about today. I have a whole list, which I'm probably going to end up reading off of. But this is the final full moon of this year. And it is kind of like the ending of this eclipse cycle that we've been dealing with for the last year and a half. So this full moon isn't actually an eclipse. The last eclipse of the Gemini-Sagittarius axis was 2 weeks ago when we had that Sagittarius solar eclipse. But with a full moon being, culminating energy, this is kind of like, and it being in Gemini, this is kind of like ending up that energy that we've been feeling since the middle of last year. I believe the axis changed in May of 2020. So for the last year and a half, we've been working with that Gemini Sagittarius energy with our eclipses, which of course eclipses bring about change. Lunar eclipses bring about endings, solar eclipses bring about beginnings. So this full moon is about integrating the knowledge and the wisdom that we've gained over the last year and a half. Let me introduce Tank, who is over here eating on the plant behind us. He is my, I don't want to say faithful sidekick, but he's definitely my sidekick. So he's just going to chew on that plant, and that's just what Tank does. So yes, this is all about integrating the knowledge and the wisdom that we've gained over the last year and a half. So think about where you were at in May of 2020. I bet you know a lot more about yourself in the world than you did back then. So now we're taking that energy and we're moving it forward into the next eclipse cycle, which we're going to start experiencing next year. The lunar nodes officially shift next month into Taurus and Scorpio, so dealing with completely different energies. And, this, like I said, this full moon is kind of just like closing out that cycle for us. So this is really our time to kind of evaluate how far we've come. And then, of course, think about where we want to go with things. Normally with my videos, I put together a whole exercise to, help us deal with that lunar energy. But the only thing I'm going to ask you guys to do with this full moon is to observe and listen. And we're going to talk about all the energy that is kind of attached to it. And mainly the reason why I'm saying we should just be observing and listening is because there is so much energy going on. And so much of it is energy that we're really not, as humans, able to fully explain. We just need to experience it. So like I said, we are about to experience the shifting of the lunar nodes on, looks like January 18th of 2022, so in about a month. So actually just a month from when this full moon is. So that's going to change kind of our focus in life. And then 2 days, or actually 3 days after this, or depending upon what part of the world you're in, I guess, 2 to 3 days after this full moon, we experience the Winter Solstice, which is traditionally when we welcome the sun back into our lives. As we're getting closer to the winter solstice, we get less and less sunlight throughout the day. But as we hit the winter solstice, we start getting more and more sunlight. So traditionally speaking, amongst many different belief systems, this time of year is when we welcome the sun back in. So we've got the winter solstice coming, and then on the same day as same day or the next day as the full moon, we have Chiron, which is, the asteroid that represents the wounded healer. So the wound that we are continuously always healing within ourselves goes direct. But Venus, which is the planet of love and money, goes retrograde. So interesting energy. So an opportunity to deal with our wounds, but also an opportunity to deal with our beliefs and our value systems. So we also have, every full moon, the opposing sign is where the sun is at. So Gemini full moon, we will have the sun, of course, in Sagittarius. This is Tank sneezing right now, so don't mind him. He's just very, he's just very lively today. So the sun will, of course, be in Sagittarius, and every year around this time, the sun crosses the galactic center. And as the name suggests, the galactic center is the center of the galaxy. It's that supermassive black hole that the entire galaxy swirls around. So astronomers, have been studying it for a little while, and basically there's a lot of mysteries within the galactic center. And I've got some notes on the galactic center because it's something I'm really I'm really passionate about, but I'm still learning a lot about. And with the galactic center being in Sagittarius, this is basically going to represent freedom and truth, seeking freedom, seeking truth. And when the sun crosses the galactic center, it's like reigniting our understanding of ourselves and reigniting our understanding of the universe. So it's kind of like a really reinvigorating time. So it's interesting that the galactic center is going to be conjunct the sun, which of course is going to be opposing the moon during this full moon. So I think that's a very significant thing to mention as well. So at this time, of course, Gemini represents the twins, so like all the dualities in our life. It represents communication. So, that may be a big theme around this, maybe communicating some type of truth, because again, we've been learning a lot of things about ourselves and the universe over the last year and a half. We, in the tangible world, like think about everything we've been dealing with. This has basically been the time of the pandemic, and I think just about everything has shifted for most of us. So basically, this is our opportunity to take all of those lessons that we've learned and move forward into the next cycle of our lives. So again, there's a couple other energies that are attached to this. So Neptune is actually going to be squaring this full moon. So that's another reason why I'm saying that this is an opportunity for us just to listen and observe, because Neptune is the planet of illusions. So as much as full moons are about, pulling the veil up and like taking illusions away, we may actually, have that a little clouded right now because of Neptune's square. So again, we should just be observing and listening right now. We also have Jupiter trining the moon and sextiling the sun. So that's actually really positive energy because Jupiter is a great benefactor. It's a planet of luck. It's a planet of expansion. And it's also the planet associated with Sagittarius. So again, the Sagittarius energy, that expansive, adventurous, big energy that is this fun, fiery energy that's Sagittarius, is going to come into play quite a bit with this moon. So again, those two opposing energies of Gemini and Sagittarius, which again, we've been dealing with for the last year and a half. So again, this is just a time for us to, just kind of take some time to really think about how far we've come over this period of time. I say the last year and a half, but really we could say our lives. What have we learned out of our lives? What knowledge have we gained and what wisdom have we gained, and how can we take that forward? So I really want to pull some cards, and I'm actually going to pull them out of my Wonderland deck, which was the first deck that I ever bought, before I ever knew that I was going to be a tarot card reader or anything like that. So I want to pull some cards out of that deck because I'm really feeling like the adventurous energy of, falling down the rabbit hole and finding yourself in Wonderland really kind of resonates with me, with this energy. And actually this card wanted to come up and I want to talk about it. So it's the 9 of Flamingos, but it's in reverse. So the flamingo suit is similar to the swords in traditional tarot. And the 9 of Swords in tarot, in its upright position, talks about anxiety and nightmares and all the things that are ruminating in your mind that basically keep you up at night. But when we see it in its reverse position, it's almost like those nightmares are going away. That anxiety is going away. And I think that's a really good theme for this full moon because there's been a lot of scary things in the outward world and the inward world that I think we've all been dealing with. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's been doing a lot of shadow work over the last year and a half. We got a card that came up. We'll talk about that in a second. But this energy, it has been a little scary, but this is almost like suggesting that we're kind of moving away from that. We're moving away from that anxiety and that fear that has, you know, kind of just been like holding us down and keeping us from really reaching that next level. If anyone's kind of felt that energy over, especially the last year, like we're supposed to be moving forward with something, but we're not, and you know, we're almost like kind of fearful of moving forward with it, I really see that moving away for us. You know, us moving away from that anxiety and those nightmares and that, you know, just that kind of almost like a prison in your own mind. And I really, you know, feel like this next card, which I pulled, was the Ace of Flamingos. Oops, definitely reaffirms that, because the Ace of Flamingos is like cutting away at the crap in your mind. You know, it's like, again, it's attached to the sword suit. So it's like cutting away at the BS in your mind that has kind of been holding you back, and like giving you like a sharp mind and being able to like really start something new. So the energy of this full moon, as much as full moons are about endings, it's kind of about beginnings as well. Because again, it's kind of like clearing out some things left over from the last year and a half, you know, some things we're not quite clear about, you know, maybe some things that need to be communicated to us, or things that we need to communicate, because of course with the Gemini energy, clearing all that away so that we can move forward into this next cycle, into the next year, into the next, you know, lunar node axis cycle, you know, whatever, or like the solar and lunar eclipse cycle, whatever you want to call it, so that we can move forward. So that definitely, you know, it's definitely encouraging to me to see that, because it definitely suggests that, you know, we may be ending a lot of things, but there's some beginnings on the rise as well. So I pulled the Devil in reverse, and the Devil is the card of excess, and you know, it's a card of addictions, it's a card of bad habits. You know, it's not necessarily always a bad card, because sometimes, you know, it suggests that you've been working too hard and you need to go out and have a little fun. But to see it in reverse is almost like we're leaving behind those things that were kind of holding us back before, like our bad habits, our, you know, like if we had some addictions, if we had some obsessions. Obsessions is coming up a lot for me, because I think, especially given the fact that, you know, the last year and a half, we've been kind of stuck inside. We haven't really been interacting with people as much. There may have been some obsessions, you know, that have arisen, and I think this is the time for us to kind of release those. The last card that I pulled is the World. And the World is a perfect card to pull for the full moon, because it's a card of culmination. It's a card of everything you've been working towards, and now you have it. So I definitely feel like this is kind of a leveling up moon. That's how I feel this energy is that we are leveling up as a collective, you know, having this full moon pass, you know, opposite of the Galactic Center, having the sun be right there, you know, over the Galactic Center. I think this is really just kind of us reinitiating ourselves, if that makes sense. Like kind of taking everything that we knew, you know, before, getting rid of, you know, we had the Nine of Flamingos in reverse, getting rid of all the things that didn't really serve us, didn't really, you know, were ruminating in our mind, that were just kind of BS, getting rid of all of that and just kind of starting anew. Because again, the World, it may be a card of, you know, things culminating, but it's also a card of new beginnings, because once something ends, something new begins. So, and this is perfect, because it's the end of the year and we're starting a new year, you know, a lot of endings and beginnings right now. We've been dealing with that energy for a while. So again, as I suggested, you know, at the beginning of this video, this is really just a moon, in my opinion, to observe and listen. So observe and listen to what the universe wants to tell us, wants to show us. You know, this energy is so much more powerful than us, you know, especially when we get the Galactic Center involved in there. So I really suggest doing that. So if y'all are interested in getting a tarot card reading from me, please contact me. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel if you're listening on YouTube. Please share it with your friends, and let me know if you have any questions. But I want to wish you all a happy Gemini full moon, and I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.